Welcome back. I hope you enjoyed your break. So on page 151 it talks about absolute cell references. Now remember at the very beginning of the introduction for this chapter I mentioned something about absolute cell references. Okay, so absolute cell reference, the only thing it does is makes a cell address be still. It doesn't move when you copy. Remember, I'm going to show you real quick. Remember we've not done any copying here. Okay, well, remember when you copy stuff across, then if we were to copy this straight down, let's say, this would go to B5 through G5, B6 through G6, B7 through G7, right? Which is good. That's why we use cell addresses. Now, if you were to use one of these things as a cell address, which we're going to, and then copy it across like this, notice that if the cell address moved across, so went from B19 to C19 to D19, notice there's nothing in there. So if you were to just do it like we normally do, copy the formula across, which is what we're going to do, then the formula is going to be wrong because there is nothing in C, D, E, F, or G19. So we want this cell address to be still, all right? We don't want it to move. Now the fancy word for that is absolute cell reference. And I don't want you to freak out because it sounds like it's major, but it's not. It just means be still. In SAM and in your book, it will say apply an absolute cell reference, which means be still. We just want that cell to be still. And also, when you start doing your assignments for this chapter, it doesn't tell you very much. In the chapter itself, it's really good about explaining what to do step by step, but in the assignments, it does not tell you what to do step by step. You will probably have to figure it out. All right, so let's click on cost of goods sold. I believe that is going to be the first formula that we type in. Okay, now B5. Okay, so B5 on page 153. We're going to type, whenever it's your formula that you are typing, remember you always start with an equal sign. That way your Excel spreadsheet knows that it is a formula. Alright, and then we're going to click in B4 because it eliminates or cuts down on human error. And then we're going to do times, which is the star, so shift 8. And then open parenthesis. I am looking at number 1 on page 153, the second bullet point. So 1 minus B19. Now notice B19. Alright. So when we copy this across, going to B, C, D, E, F, and G, if we were to do it the way we normally do, this B19 would go to C19 and there's nothing there. So every formula in C, D, E, F, and G would be wrong. Alright, so we have to make it an absolute cell reference, or we have to make it be still. To do that, you're going to type dollar signs in front of the B and the 19, because that tells you keep column B still, keep row 19 still. So the whole cell address is still. Okay, but there is a shortcut. If you look on your keyboard, do you see the F4 key? It's one key that says F4. That's called the function 4 key. If your cursor is anywhere in the cell address, in front of the B, in between, anywhere in here, any of these places, you can hit the function 4 key and it puts a dollar sign in front of both of them. So there you go. That is an official absolute cell reference. The column B, row 19, that cell address is going to be still when you copy it across. Alright, so that's the purpose, and you have to remember that because it's on your exam without them telling you to do it. You have to look at it and say, oh, this can't move. It needs to be still. So you need to know that that's what you need to do. Alright, so then we're going to do close parenthesis, and we're going to click on the green check mark, or you can hit the enter to go down. Alright, So now the next formula on page 154, number 3, we're going to be in B6. That is our gross margin. And once again, since you are typing the address, you're going to type an equal. Then we're going to click on B4, minus, hit the minus sign, then click on B5. All right, now, since B4, there's numbers next to it. B5, there's not numbers next to it now, but you know that we're going to copy this across, right? So there is no be still, absolute cell reference, anything in this one formula. So we're just going to hit the check mark or hit enter, whatever makes you happy, and then hit save. Now, we could copy this across now, but we're going to do formulas all the way down to here. So why do it now? Let's do it when we're done. All right. Now, the next formula is really interesting. I love if functions. Now, I used to do programming way back in the day, programs that people don't even use anymore, but that's okay. It's been a long time. If you look on page 155, it explains the if function very well. Notice that about in the middle of your page 155, do you see where it says equal if? It's after the figure 3-20C. It's underneath 27. It's underneath that. Notice that the first section, B4 greater than or equal to B21. You're going to see you're asking the computer to check, is B4, which is 45,000, greater than B21, which is down here, 60,000. If the answer is true, then it's going to go to that next section where it's you do comma and the next section is value of truth. If the answer to that is true, then the computer is going to put down B20, which is this 5,000 right here. Okay? Now, if the answer is false, if they've sold less than 60,000, which, here we go, 45, so obviously the answer is false, we can tell that. If the answer is false, then the next thing after the comma is the value of false, which is 0. Alright? Now, you can type that in, but why think that hard, right? So, if you go to your insert function, and then notice that it is in my most recently used if, but remember if it's not, you can type it here in the search, or you can go here, I'm not sure where it is. Here you can choose all and just find it. That's not even gonna lie, I don't know. Alright, so I'm going to click on if, double click if, and it opens it up. Now, one cool thing about functions is that using the function wizard is that it tells you what each thing is for. So even if you don't know what it's for, you can use this function wizard. So notice that in this first one it tells me logical test is any value or expression that can be evaluated to true or false. So that's exactly what we are going to do. So look on page 156 and notice that number 1, you already have your equal if, so you don't have to worry about that. Okay, so if the second bullet point on number 2 says, and I'm telling you to click if you possibly can, and notice that you can grab this title bar right here and move this wherever you want. So if you are hiding that, if you're like this and it's covered, all you have to do is grab that with your left mouse button and drag it out of the way. Okay, because with your cursor in the logical test right here, all you have to do is click on B4. Voila, piece of cake, right? So greater than, the big side's on the left side, or equal to, greater than or equal to B21. Now, B21, notice that when we copy this across, because we're going to, there is nothing in C21 or D or E. So what do we have to do, right? Absolute cell reference or be still, correct. So to do that, the quick way, what do you click on? The function 4 key, the F4 key on your computer. So hit that. Notice that I now have a $B and a $21. Okay, so that is our logical test. And notice over here, it returns what the answer is going to be for the stuff that we're using. So we know that's going to jump down here, do what happens when it's false. We already know it's a 0, they're going to get no money, right? So let's go down in order, value if true, and see it tells you down here what to do. The cool thing about this is that if somebody tells you and wants to use a future value function, even if you don't know what a future value function is, or an FV, okay, all you have to do is open the function up and then it'll tell you what to click on. Alright, so value if true is the value that is returned if the logical test, this up here, is true. If omitted, true, the word true will be returned. So that's kind of cool if you just wanted to say true. Kind of nice. You can nest, which means you can do an if function, and if the value is true, you can do another if. And if the value is true, you can do another if. Okay? Kind of cool. We do that in, I believe, the advanced Excel. I don't think we do it in this one. But if we do, you're welcome to email me and say help if you don't figure it out. Okay? So you'll be fine. So in this case, the value if true is they are going to get $5,000 bonus. Alright? So once again, notice there is nothing here going across. So when we copy it across, we want that B20 address to be still. Right? So hit the function for. And we have our dollar signs to make it be still. Now, if they don't sell or have the revenue of $60,000, then they get no bonus. They make no money. So value if false is the value that is returned if the logical test is false. In this case, we want it to be 0. If you put nothing, it's going to say false, which that's kind of a cool deal also. Alright, so here we say okay. Alright, now notice that, double check. Make sure that your B21 and your B20 both are absolute cell references, or the be still. Okay? Excellent. So let's go on down to the commission and let's see what is the commission rate. So click in cell B10 and I am looking at page 157. And you can read number 1 and go through each one, or you can look at the picture on page 157 at the bottom, figure 3-31. So we have commission, and it's going to be B4 times B22. So since it's your formula, you have to type in an equal sign. Click on B4 times, which is the star, and then click on B22, and you know this is it. Look, commission. So 30% commission rate. Not too bad. But it has to be an absolute cell reference or be still, because you can't copy it across because it won't work. So function 4 and just hit enter. Alright, next one is equal, and then click on your revenue, B4 times B23. Kiosk rental, and that kind of makes sense because we're here in the kiosk rentals. So once again, when we copy it across, it can't move. It has to be still. So function 4, put our dollar signs in there and make it be still. Hit enter. On B12, once again, B4. Ooh, remember your equal sign. Okay, click on your B4 times, and this is marketing. So let's slide down to marketing, which is B24. Click on there. It can't move. It has to be still. So function 4 and hit enter. Yay. Then for B13, once again, equal. Click on $45,000, which is our revenue for April, times. Click on our equipment repair and maintenance. There we go, 4%. Always smart to put that in there, because something's going to break down. Function 4 to make it be still once again. Voila. Now everything should work when you copy it across, but we're not done. We have 2 more. So we want our total expenses, so we need to add all these up. So remember, AutoSum is your friend, and I just double clicked and it yelled at me again. Why does it keep yelling at me? So I'm just going to select them. No big. And we have B9 through B13. We're going to add all of our expenses together. Okay, so that is our total expenses. So operating income is how much money we have left over to work with. So we have to subtract our expenses from our gross margin, which is how much money we have made. Okay, so we're going to click on equal, click on B6 minus, click on B14 and hit enter. Yay! Alright, so we now have in all of our formulas. We're going to hit save in case something crazy. I remember I told you one of the coolest things about Excel is the fact that you only have to think hard one time. So if you did your absolute cell references correct and all your cell addresses correct and your formulas are correct, we've thought hard one time. So we are going to select from B5 to B16. Then come to the bottom right hand corner. Notice we get the black plus sign with no arrows, and we're going to copy across. And we're going to stop at column G. Yay! Okay, now if you did not get 5,000 for the bonus, so D9, if it doesn't say 5,000, 10 to 1, you did not do your absolute cell references. Okay, double check your numbers. Your operating income should be exactly the same as mine, or exactly what is in the book on page 159. Okay, so the very last thing we're going to do with the formulas is this sum formula right here. We're going to copy it straight down. Now notice that there are 3 rows that don't have any formulas in them, and we're just going to delete those. But this is so much easier just to copy it like that, and then we can select those 2 and hit delete on your keyboard, click there and hit delete on your keyboard, and yay, your formulas are done. Isn't that easy? So much easier than doing it by hand. Okay, so we have saved. Now the next thing is called spark line charts. Okay, now spark line charts are different than just straight up plain line charts. So I'm telling you this because every semester I have somebody that just puts in a plain old-fashioned chart. So please, 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 number 1, pay attention to what the book's saying. Number 2, I'm so glad you're listening to my video, because that's going to help you out too. So looking on page 160, sparkline charts are cool because they go into a cell, a single cell, instead of fitting on an entire big square picture by itself. It's a cell, and you can copy that cell down, which we're going to do. You can also choose different formats of spark lines. You can have a bar spark line, a line spark line, and a win-loss spark line. Okay, so they're pretty cool, but they're all spark line charts. All right, very important. So click in I4, then go to insert just like you do your normal charts. Now notice over here, see the spark lines. These are our spark lines, not charts, not charts. Spark lines, yes, spark lines. I know you think I'm being silly, but I'm telling you, every semester somebody uses the wrong ones. So we're going to use a line, spark line. Click on line.